Warning: some of the following images are graphic in nature and might be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. On April 7, 2013, around 8:30 at night, a 911 call came into the Yakima County Sheriff's Department from Scott Sunford. He said that he had been out of town and couldn't get a hold of his wife all day. He said the alarm had been tripped and wanted the police to check on her.
Sheriff's Office.
Hi, ma'am. This is Scott Sunford. Today at 3:24, 3:27, and 3:28, I had 3 census trips, and I've been out of town with family for a funeral. My wife was home.
Okay.
I just got home, and the board that I have over my back door has been broken. So somebody has forced their way in, and I haven't heard back from my wife. I need an officer here now.
Okay. And what's your wife's name?
Desiree Sunford.
Desiree Sunford was a 30-year-old teacher living with her husband Scott in Yakima, Washington. Desiree and Scott got married in 2003 and seemed to be a perfect couple. They loved to spend time together, especially outdoors riding their motorcycles. However, the couple had secrets, and the secrets came out after Desiree was killed. The police arrived at the Sunford home, which was off a long road that had no streetlights. Scott was waiting in the driveway and didn't want to go in the house alone. Scott was also holding a gun, and he had it aimed at the house until the police arrived. The police thought that was super strange.
When I rolled up to the residence, I saw somebody had their spotlight on the house, and he had a pistol drawn. That person was later identified as Scott Sunford. And I asked him what was going on. Why didn't you go in? He said, I don't know what's in there. It was a very odd answer to give.
They walked inside, which was completely dark. There was nothing suspicious until they walked into the master bedroom and found Desiree dead on the floor. She had been shot 9 times and had tried to crawl away. The police found several bullet casings around her, and there was a shoe print found in and around the blood.
I entered the house, and I remember walking down the hallway in the first room to my left, and there were bullet casings on the floor. To the left, I could see the body of Desiree Sunford. Whoever shot her wanted her dead.
The police wanted to interview Scott to determine when Desiree was killed and where he was during the murder.
At that point, when I had exited the house and walked over to Mr. Sunford and told him that there was a deceased woman in the house. We believe it's your wife. I remember telling him, I'm terribly sorry. I'm terribly sorry. He had a stone cold look on his face. It seemed like it meant nothing to him. And I told this to the detectives when they arrived on scene. I think this guy knows something about this. Either he did it or he knew who did.
2.5 hours after his wife was found dead, detectives bring Scott Sunford in for questioning. Scott was a 31-year-old veteran in the National Guard. He was also working at the local training for the military base in Yakima County. Scott informed officers that he had gone to the Tri-Cities, which was 2 hours south of Yakima, to attend a funeral. He went to the funeral during the afternoon and then had called Desiree and said he was going to spend the night down there. Officers felt that Scott was lying to them about the full story of their relationship.
You mentioned that you got a bunch of alarm hits on through your phone at like 3 in the morning.
He received text messages from the alarm company stating that something was going wrong and tripped the alarms.
Okay, and so why not go in the house and check things out and make sure she's okay?
Because I was afraid.
What were you afraid of?
When I saw that back door, I just couldn't decide whether I could deal with what I may or may not see.
To detectives, it made no sense that Scott would just sit back and wait for them to arrive. Detectives wonder why Scott never entered the house with his gun.
You said you were in the military?
Yeah, 13 years.
13 years? Did you get deployed in combat areas?
Yeah, we had a couple deployments.
Where at?
Iraq.
With the military experience Scott had, detectives were at a loss on why Scott didn't enter the house to check on his wife, if he really was that worried.
Well, I'm just thinking, you're a big guy. You're what, 6'4"?
somewhere up there.
6'4", 250. You've got a firearm on you. You've been in combat. I mean, you've done some serious that most people will never do. So if anyone's going to be willing to go charging in the house and make sure their wife's okay, it would seem to me that it would be you.
Detectives continue to ask Scott questions about his wife and his whereabouts.
Yakima, about 08:30 on Saturday, and drove down to the Tri-Cities. And then you stayed at your dad's in Kennewick?
No, I actually stayed with a friend, but let's see.
What's the friend's name?
Oh, her name's Paige.
At this point, detectives know who Paige is, but Scott has no idea. Detectives used cell phone records to track Scott whereabouts the night of the murder. Detectives suspected that Paige was giving Scott an alibi, but when looking into Scott's records, it showed Scott was nowhere near the crime scene the night of the murder. But as you will see, the detective continues to question him about his wife and his new friend Paige.
She's a mutual friend.
Was it just a platonic friendship, or did you have an actual relationship with Paige?
You know, I shouldn't go there because it's kind of rude, but well, Des didn't want me to say anything to anybody, but at one point, her and Paige had a little thing going for a while there, a little experiment.
Okay, so it was Desiree and Paige who had the sexual relationship?
Yeah.
But not you and Paige? Or sometimes,
we all did.
Sometimes you and Paige too?
Honestly, we all did.
So it sounds like you and Desiree had a pretty open relationship.
Generally, no.
No?
Generally, no. Just with her.
Just with her. There was a special relationship with Paige?
Yeah.
Detectives learn about Scott and his open relationship, but with nothing linking him to the crime scene and Desiree's death, detectives have to let Scott go free. 15 months after the murder of Desiree Sunford, police get a call from an anonymous tipster. The tipster states that the name of the shooter was Marty Grismer and that he was the one that killed Desiree Sunford. Detectives don't believe the caller, but at the same time, they're also investigating 3 suspects.
We had not heard that name anywhere in the investigation. We needed to confirm how this person that was calling us knew about this stuff. And it turned out that it was Paige Blade's phone number. If she knew this information, why didn't she call us directly? Things are just not adding up.
Detectives learned that Marty is Paige's friend. Paige is the third link to Scott and Desiree's open relationship. Detectives want to know what's Marty's connection to Scott and Desiree, and was he a part of the party?
Marty was my best friend. Marty and I started dating for a little bit until he found out about Scott, and I told him I couldn't see him anymore. He's the one that got me the house. He bought my car outright, cash. He pays my insurance. He's done my grocery shopping. He's taken very well care of me.
What detectives felt that Paige was explaining is that Marty worships her and would do anything for Paige to be happy, even if that meant killing Desiree Sunford. Paige tells detectives that she informed Marty she was pregnant a few weeks before Desiree was murdered.
He asked me if I wanted him to take care of this new woman like he did Des. And I asked him what he was talking about.
At this point, Paige and detectives were convinced that Marty was the reason for Desiree's death. After a few more questions, this was the outcome of Paige's interview with detectives.
And apparently, he decided that if the baby was Scott's like it was supposed to be, then Desiree would cause issues. Oh my God.
At this moment, Paige confesses to knowing Marty was thinking of killing Desiree, so detectives go on the hunt looking for Marty's place of work and sleep. Paige tells detectives that she hasn't seen or heard from Marty for a few weeks. The sheriff's office received a phone call from one of the other managers working where Marty also worked and happened to come across a bag of gun parts as he was cleaning Marty's office. So detectives drive down to the lake to recover the bag that contained the gun parts that were found by the manager and take it back to headquarters for testing. Detectives take the gun parts to the crime lab, and it was determined the barrel of that gun was the same barrel used in the killing of Desiree Sunford. The bullets recovered from Desiree's autopsy were from that barrel. With that information, detectives bring Marty down for questioning.
What's your relationship with Paige?
It's been complicated over the years. I mean, she was the best man at my wedding. So, I mean, she was my best friend for a while there.
Were you two involved in a sexual relationship at one time?
Not exactly, no. We just fooled around a bit on there early on, but I was taking care of things for her financially. Fixing up her house, fixing up her plumbing, finding a place to live, moving her butt in there. Moving stuff out of storages for her when the bills were running out on there. I've tried to be there for her because I wanted a relationship with her. Like a moth to a flame, I kept going back and trying to help her, even after her own mother told me you probably shouldn't be her friend.
Did you ever offer to kill Desiree Sunford for Paige?
No, I haven't. I've never offered to kill anyone for anything. It's not in my nature.
Have you ever discussed killing her with Paige?
No.
Did she ever ask you to kill Desiree Sunford?
No.
Paige is saying that you are the one who shot and killed Desiree Sunford. She said that you confessed that to her. And she came in and gave a taped statement to that effect.
Can't believe that she's doing that. I mean, didn't kill anyone. She's pinning the on me.
Marty is trying so hard to convince detectives that he didn't play a part in Desiree murder. Little does Marty know detectives have all the evidence to convict him for the murder of Desiree Sunford.
Okay, tell me about that. What kind of gun parts are we talking about?
I had a gun barrel that I left there.
A gun barrel?
Yeah.
Okay. Where it gets even worse for you is this gun barrel that we've been talking about. That's the gun barrel that was in the gun that killed Desiree Sunford. I've already retrieved that gun barrel from Basic American Foods, and I've already had the ballistic analysis done on it. And the slugs that were pulled from Desiree's body came from that gun. After everything you've done for her, after all the money, blood, sweat, tears, and love that you gave to her, and she turned around and you over.
I know.
In exchange for having his charges reduced to second-degree murder, Marty Grismer made a special agreement called an Afford plea.
Afford plea is he's not admitting to the crime. He's not confessing to the crime. He's just saying that the state, which would be the prosecution, has enough evidence to get a conviction.
Marty Grismer was sentenced to 15 years in state prison, where he is scheduled to be released in 2028. Neither Scott nor Paige Blade was charged with any crime in the murder of Desiree Sunford. Thanks for watching, you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you on the next one.